welcome back. I'm Danielle Valentine.
And I'm Amy Houston.
And we have a guest tonight.
My name's Crystal.
So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about just balance and back to school and all that fun stuff. Got it? First, let's not hit each other, taking the sign down. So, kind of most everyone's kids are back to school at this point, I think. I've got news that there's a couple schools in our local area that are not back, and it's due to new schools being built or other construction things. But for the most part, everybody's back to school.
A lot of people just went back today.
Yeah.
So this is feeling fresh.
This is fresh to some people. So the reason we picked this topic is because there's a lot of different areas we want to touch on, but I feel that there's all this energy and this excitement with going back to school and all the things that need done, from going to get the supplies and seeing what bus your kids on or what time you have to drop them off, to buying the new school clothes, to all that. But then there's the routines, schedules, extracurricular activities. Where's your family time go? Where's the relaxing time go? How do you take all of these things and balance it into what, 3-4 hours a night? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to start.
Yeah, so we're starting with the just in general high level transition. Like, what does summer look like? How does that change in going to school? We really hope that some of you that are watching this live recording will chime in the comments, let us know what it looks like for you.
And I'm bringing it up right now, so I'll be able to read your comments and kind of respond if you'd like to be part of the discussion. If you're not able to join us live and you're watching this on a replay, you can still comment and we will respond.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I'm in an interesting situation because I'm on some levels I am a routine person when it really comes down to it. But sometimes those like routines, I'm almost so ingrained in routines that it doesn't feel like that much of a transition for me.
Yeah.
Because I just don't bend that much in the summer. Or when I do, it's like I always let the kids know, like, it's an exception because it's summer. It's not like our new normal. So for me, like this bedtime thing has been pretty smooth. Getting up in the morning, my kids, I don't know, all you guys that have kids that sleep in, like, good for you. I don't know what that's like. So they got up just as early in the summer as they need to for school. I kind of wish I had that problem.
Yeah. So I probably about 2 years ago was the switch. So Olivia's 11, but so she started to like want to sleep till 10 or 11, and at grandma's house, grandma just lets her. Here, I am up working by 5 a.m. We have a house full of dogs.
That's incredible.
We pet sit, so as soon as my feet hit the floor, my Dalmatians are like, oh, food, ready, go outside, let's go. So there's no sleeping in once you even think about getting up in the morning. So my kids have got used to sleeping through those distractions, but I always make sure they were up by 9. So even in the summer, even on like days we had nothing to do, we were up by 9 o'clock no matter what. And so with that bedtime, if there was something that was important that the whole family was out doing, fireworks, certain family events, stuff like that, it was excused. But for the most part, they were in bed. We usually push it an hour. So school bedtimes are 8:30, 9 o'clock. When they are in the summer, it's like 9:30, 10 at the most. And I do staircase the bedtimes, even though they both need, actually I think my daughter needs a little bit more sleep than my son, but just to be fair, I always give her that half hour more so that she has that independence thing. So what's it look like in your house?
Oh, one big circus. My husband is a morning person and I am 100,000% not. I hate mornings and I would sell my right leg to know that I could sleep in for the rest of my life. But my kids have taken after him, unfortunately, and from day one, they've been early wakers. There was a period there was about a year where my oldest would wake up at 3:30 in the morning every day, and she was up for the day. And at that time, I was pregnant with my second child.
That is a different type of early.
But anyway, but they still get up. No matter how much we beg and plead, they still get up at 5:30 every single morning.
Oh my gosh, I was going to complain about 7.
See, mine are 7. Yeah.
Well, and my husband he has to leave pretty early, so he has to wake me up at 6 a.m. no matter what day of the week it is if he has to work, because
The kids.
They're up and they're small and they need supervision. And it's terrible because for me, like my internal clock says 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's when you wake up. But everybody else in my household wakes up crazy early.
So this has nothing to do with tonight's show, but I'm very good at going off the chart. Are your kids like when they wake up at 4 or 5, do they come in your bedroom and they're like, I'm awake?
Yes, but they know not to wake me.
So we had this thing.
Smart mama.
It was we called it a doot doot nano. And if you've spent any amount of time with me in the morning, sorry. First off, I'm a singer in the morning. I wake up singing. I make up songs.
Oh, no.
There are some mornings where I have a British accent just because, it's morning. So again, I'm so sorry if you woke up in the morning. But I do. I want
to have a sleepover just to
experience
don't
sing the rest of the day, but I wake up singing. So my thing is
you're pretty much like Cinderella and Snow White.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be good roommates.
Nobody so I actually roomed by myself in college. I had a single. I was next to all the suites, but I had a single because my mom knew that I would probably be beat up, I'm sure. But so I wake up singing. So we used to have this little circle alarm clock. And the rule was if you woke up and it was not green, it was not go to get out of your room. You could do whatever you wanted on your bed, but you were not out of your room. So then the reason he got a name is because I would run around and go, doot, doot, nano, green, doot, and I would run around. But if he was yellow, I'd be like, your butt needs to be back in bed. And so that's how I got his name. But that saved my children. Because even though I was a morning person, anything before 7 a.m., even if I was up at 5, you're interfering with my time. And if mom doesn't have her cup of coffee, I might wake up singing, but the niceness doesn't go very far past that. So that was a lifesaver.
I can't even hold a conversation in the morning. Don't talk to me or look at me until at least 8 o'clock. And there is not enough coffee in the world to get me through the morning.
And I don't even drink coffee because of caffeine. I need the warmness, but I need that time to just decompress. I can't be asked anything. I'm happy and I'm singing and I'm excited, but don't ask me to do anything. Don't make me do anything you want me to do.
See, I want to be that person, and I feel like I'm so close to being that person because if I'm awake, I'm totally fine. It's the actually getting out of bed.
Yeah.
And convincing myself that I am going to be happy when I do that. I'm always happier when I do.
And it's harder in the winter because I like to be warm and I like the sun. And when it's dark and cold, I do not want to leave my bed.
Well, and us sharing how we are in our mornings and all that. How do you transition us in the children? Because, they have this routine and a schedule. And all of us seem to be on the same page on this topic, that we did not have outrageous bedtimes or mornings where we had to really transition them back to, reality and back to society. But
and honestly, that was for my benefit. If I'm just being real and authentic,
she has bedtimes because
I could have let my I could have let my kids stay up till 10, 11, midnight. But when the kids go to bed, that's my time with Andrew, with my husband, without the children, for us to connect. And I think that that's just so important. So I don't really see any reason to let bedtime extend unless you're doing something special. Absolutely. If we were out, that's definitely completely different. We would bend the rules more for that in the summer. But really, if we're at home, sometimes we'd say oh, you can watch a movie in bed, and that was they could be awake longer, but we still had our time just by ourselves.
Well, and that leads us to something else, because something else. So transitioning into school, it's fine. You have nighttime routine and morning routine. You had mentioned watch a movie in bed. So do your kids have TVs in their room?
They do have a TV in their room.
They have TVs in their room. So do you, during the school year, do you allow them to watch movies before bed? What does their night routine look like?
They get 30 minutes of TV. So, whatever time, our normal routine is that they're in bed at 8 and they can watch TV till 8:30. And if there's something, depending why that got delayed, if it's, Andrew and I's fault, maybe dinner went late that made this go late and that go late, they usually always get about 30 minutes of watching TV. And then we have this rule that they can read as late as they want.
Which is crazy.
Well, and it's funny because I did that because I'm trying to encourage them to read more, and my youngest hasn't fallen for it yet. My oldest, he got to the point, he's 9 now, where it'd be midnight, he'd be like, I read for 120 minutes, and I'm like, what? Like, maybe I should make a rule. But at the same time, like, he's reading books. I don't care.
So we don't, to speak on that, I don't do any TV or electronics at all Monday through Thursday, or Sunday through Thursday. And this was a rule that I actually carried. Not many things. I was raised very well, if my mom is watching. But there weren't many things that I can specifically say I brought this from my childhood because it worked. There are two things. One drove me up the wall, but now I do it to my kids, and I'm like, and that is when I used to go to school on my mom's day off, I would come home. She would tell me every morning, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. 10 minutes in the morning of cleaning up your room saves you from an all-day room cleaning. I do that with my kids. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes after school, or, midnight right after dinner, clean up your room. My kids' rooms are never messy if they do that. But on my mom's day off, she would go in my room, and anything that wasn't in its spot, she would make a fire in the middle of the room. Basically, It looks like a campfire. It's not a real fire. It's a campfire.
She is my new hero.
And she'd be like, I would come home from school, and she'd be like, there's a fire in your room. Go put it out. Basically, what it was just, it looks like a campfire. My mom did not set fire to anything.
I actually thought maybe your mom, like, brought in a little, like, kettle and was like...
No. Nothing was caught fire.
And I thought my parents were strict.
But what this was... I hated it growing up because I was like, this is my room. I can do what I want. Like, I cleaned my room. But I mean, she would even like dump drawers. Like, she told me to put it wasn't huge. It would take me literally a half hour, 45 minutes to clean up. And she would go, see, if you'd spend that 10 minutes this morning, this wouldn't have happened. So I hated that. So that was one thing. And I do it to my kids. And I remember despising it when I was a child. The other thing is there was no TV, no electronics or anything Sunday through Thursday. And the reason for that was just the distraction of, if you have downtime and you need that downtime, you should be reading or do a craft, engage your mind. And so that was another thing that I carried to my kids of, we don't do any of this, any electronics.
See, I'm the opposite.
Except for Alexa.
In the summer was when I would put a limit on electronics, and it was a pretty soft limit. If anybody knows me, I don't have very strict limits with my kids and electronics. But in the school year, I actually don't care at all how much time they spend on it in the evening, because in my mind, they just spent 8 hours using their brain and interacting with others and doing these things. And so unless we're doing a family thing, that's different. But if it's just downtime in the evening and they've got their homework done and it's not bedtime yet, I'm kind of like, you earned it.
Yeah.
That's just different side of the...
For me, it just depends on what the day looks like. If they're going to school, like this morning, my first grader was going to school. So they got to watch YouTube, the kids' YouTube, or some cartoons until it was time to leave. And then she comes home from school and we go outside and play. So in this grand scheme of the day, the majority of her day is not spent in front of it. Most of it is spent interacting. She has been using her brain most of the day and interacting. Now, if it's a day where we're home like all day with nothing going on, then we definitely have to put limits on it. Otherwise, it'll be all day in front of the TV.
Yeah. And I think some of my rule of having that as well is to keep with the routine. So I am a single parent now of 2 kids. I still run 2 businesses, run the entire household. Plus, I am trusted with a lot of responsibilities of my family on the outside. Like, if somebody needs something, if my niece needs something, I'm the one that they get called on. So I have to have them help. So in the time that they come home and every day we'll have chores. Like, I'm the Post-it queen. So I sell 31, and if you're on my team, you know that I have Post-its. And everybody walks in with these beautiful binders and these beautiful like note-taking things. I walk in with Post-its and pens because it's the only thing that'll work. And so each kid, when they walk in the door from school, their name. Well, in the morning we start it. In the morning they wake up. They wake up in a half hour. Olivia wakes up at 6:30. Carter wakes up at 7:30. So they actually have an hour. Olivia wakes up. She gets dressed. She gets handed a Post-it. Typically what is on that Post-it is eat breakfast, clean up your room. She's to take the puppy out because we have Gracie now. And she's to let the big dogs out, our Dalmatians out. And then she is to load any dishes in the sink and put them in the dishwasher and start the dishwasher. Like, that is her everyday thing that she does. You shouldn't have your kids do chores in the morning. we have to. And if I would like go, oh, if you do all this, then you can watch TV, they would rush through it. It would not get done. Like, and maybe that just might be my children in general. And when they get home from school, they get 3 chores. Hers is typically to unload the dishwasher that she originally loaded. And I do it in Post-its. When they're done, they just throw the Post-it away. It's done. We were given this by Kathy Foster was supposed to be on the show tonight, and she couldn't. But this is what her family does. So there are 4 of them, ranging from senior to preschool. And
Quite the spread.
Yeah, like I was really hoping she was going to be on the show just to explain like how you even balance that. I know how it happened. I was given that speech as a kid around the campfire in my room. No. But like she, I guess, writes this. They go to work, they go do their thing, and then I love how it says like starts at the beginning of the day, feed your animals and feed everybody, and then bed at 10 o'clock. Done. Here you go. But I mean, with 4 of them, there's got to be some structure in that. Do you have a microphone? You can't be on. You're a boy.
So, I won't be on. I'm a boy. There are multiples of those. So each kid has their own checklist, but in this scenario, the summer list is usually just one, okay? But on top of that, in the kitchen area, there's also multiple boards. One tracks the groceries that we need. So if something runs out, like for example, let's say toilet paper is running low, or turkey, or whatever it is, then the kids
Turkey
will.
and toilet paper are 2 different things.
But those are
They're on the same
one
list.
is a primary staple of both, right? Both ends. So what they'll do is they will write that down. The kids will write that down on the board. Like, hey mom, we need milk. Hey mom, we need butter. Hey mom, we need whatever. So they'll list that, okay? And then on top of that, there's another board that runs the menu for the week. So that way we try to not do repeat meals all the time, like we do Taco Tuesday, right? So, you know, that's a permanent, written in permanent ink is tacos on Tuesday, right? Because of LeBron. Thanks, Eddie. The point is, though, each night it's listed out, like the meals and all that, because our philosophy is as soon as you pass 4 in the household, it has to have some sort of organization. Otherwise, it just all falls apart. So that way, you know, they each have their own responsibilities, especially through the summer. Throughout the course of the school year, though, they have a tendency to be more organized because school does that.
It structures them. And that's kind of the thing. Naturally, we get all concerned about getting them back on track. And your family, from just being a military family, you have to have structure. You have to have that balance.
And we don't really know any other way. But yeah, I mean, whatever you can make predictable and dependable, you have to, because there are so many very, things that just pop up that you can't plan for.
Well, and even tonight, talking about, I talked to her early in the week about being on the show, and she was like, yep, I'll be there unless this happens, unless my husband gets called this. And I'm thinking, I run a crazy schedule, but normally if I say, okay, I can be there Thursday at 6 p.m., I can be there at Thursday at 6 p.m. But you don't know. I mean, literally something can change within hours.
It really, yeah, and that was a hard thing when I was working too, because it was like you still, unfortunately, it's the harder part of being a military spouse is no matter how important your stuff is, it's never as important as your spouse's commitment to the United States. And it sucks. I lose patience with it. But, you knew what you're getting into when you get married, and so you just do the best that you can to work with the unknowns.
Yeah. Danielle, I want to backtrack a little bit off topic, but it's a question I have. Like, I've not done a very good job at getting my kids doing chores. And I think part of that is because I like things done a certain way. And I know you like things done a certain way. So, like, how did you start giving chores? And specifically Olivia's a little bit older than my kids, but, like, with Carter. Like, he's 6 now, correct?
Yeah. So,
what kind of chores does Carter do?
First off, how you build that in is I have always had a little bit of a crazy, like, my life has always been crazy. If I like the on the go. We were talking about this before the show. If there is any still moment, I feel lost. Like, I don't know what to do. So my kids, I remember I brought Olivia home on a Tuesday. The day I delivered her, I literally worked till an hour before. I was in labor still working, and then I was finally like, okay, I have to leave to go have a baby. Like,
crazy.
Brought her home on a Tuesday. I had dogs get dropped off on a Friday. Like, there's always been, our house has always needed to work as a well-oiled machine. And so at a very young age, I was very big. I did not pick up my kids. I picked up my kids' toys, but not after they gave a good try from the beginning. 2 years old, you pick up your toys. If you don't want to pick up your toys, fine. You don't get to play anymore. Like, so I started at a very young age implementing that these are your toys and you will pick them up.
I've definitely done a great job of like encouraging them to take care of their messes. It's that like getting them to be part of like the family
and
unit.
And that was kind of what happened. So it started at a young age of telling them to clean up their messes, but then our businesses are all home businesses. So I pet sit, and that is in our home. I sometimes watch kids. That's in our home. I sell 31. That is based in our home. There's product coming in. There's shipments coming in. My son knows if a 31 box shows up, you open it, you unpack it, you sit it on the couch, you separate it into what the items are, and you leave the white pieces of paper on top.
That's incredible.
That is his job. So what we say often in our house is these are family businesses. Mom doesn't just work. These are family businesses. We do nice things. We travel a lot because we all work together. And so both of my kids, even Carter at 6, takes pride in knowing he is 100% part of the 31 company. He's 100% responsible for the dog. Like, we all have our own roles. Now, that does change. Olivia right now, she loads some of her main chores. Olivia does a lot of the folding of laundry in our household. And I put away because it has to be put away a certain way. She does most of, she starts the washer, she puts stuff in the washer, she starts the washer, she folds most of the clothes. All of us load the dishwasher except for Carter because he seems to break the dishes when he puts them.
That's my biggest fear.
Don't break my dishes. And you learn that, but there are certain things that have to be done a certain way. With the dogs, they are other people's dogs. If they're not fed properly, I'm going to get in trouble. If they're not, if something goes wrong, we are not getting paid. And I am very open and honest with my kids. A little more now that it's just me and them. But unfortunately, Olivia learned at a very young age, when their father left, she was young, that she will say, and this is not true, but it kind of puts this as, it's me and you, Mom. It's me and you. And so we kind of went with that of it's all of us. So they know if I don't pay attention and I don't do this task, then there's consequences to everything. And so
they see it as being your partner in a hard time.
They are my partner. We have been partners. It started because of a hard time, but I never say Mom. And when my daughter, when she came home today, she walked in from school and she goes, Mom, what did we do today? What did we do today? Well, Olivia,
cool.
This is what I did. This is where our goals are. This is where our numbers are. So I have my team goals posted right on my office downstairs. She knows where we are. She knows where the tracker is to where our next free vacation comes. She knows where my bonus is.
So cool.
And most people, no, I'm not going to say most. I have a lot of friends that disagree with that. Let them be kids. I feel that they are still being kids. They still play, but they see the responsibilities of, I understand that you may not want to go scoop the poop in the backyard, but when you scoop that poop, I'm doing this and Olivia's doing this, and we'll all get done quicker so that we can have time together.
Well, I think there's a difference between unloading baggage on your kids and being realistic with them about what it takes to keep a family going.
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to sit your checkbook out and say, you cost me this and this and this.
No.
However, it is good.
But they need to know that.
But it is good. Like, I often put it in terms with my kids, like when they get a brand new toy that they have begged and pleaded for, and then I find it on the floor smashed into pieces because they didn't clean their room up and somebody stepped on it. And then I explain to them, like, look, your responsibility right now is picking up your toys. You wanted this toy. We got you this toy. It cost us money. And now it's broken. And then for them, it's all about Happy Meals. So I have to equate it to how many Happy Meals I could have bought them.
I love that.
So I don't even remember what toy it was the other day, but it was a pretty expensive one. And I said, you realize that I could have taken you to McDonald's 4 times for what that toy cost, and you just broke that toy. And we were working on money. I was working on money with my first grader, like the concept of money, and I gave her pretend money, and I was like, you have this much money. Mom, I want to go to McDonald's. I want a Happy Meal. And I had her pay me. And then I showed her, you know what? I don't want this Happy Meal. And I wadded it up and I threw it away. And she was very upset with me, but I think she understood, like, so they're getting the concept that I do my part and I get the benefit too, or I don't do my part and I suffer too. So it's not just a chore, it's a contribution to the team.
It's funny, like somehow with my oldest, Nathan, he's 9, and he is very extremely type A. Things are supposed to be a certain way,
and he gets angry when they're not. Like,
and it's a problem, and it's also charming. It's charming in the way that he's in choir, and so he joined choir in 3rd grade. This year he's in 4th grade, and the permission slip came home in order to do choir again in 4th grade. And I wrote a check to get him a new shirt, a choir shirt, and he brought it home the next day. He's like, Mom, I do not need a new choir shirt. I do not need one because I already have one. And I'm like, he's like, didn't you read that if I already have one, I don't need it? And I was like, Nathan, like, I purposefully am getting you a new shirt because yours is getting small. Like, you're growing. But I have one and it's fine. This was like a 30-minute conversation. And finally, he's like, Mom, I'm only going to wear the shirt 2 more times for 2 more choir concerts. I do not need it. The shirt was $16. And I'm like, kid, like, sometimes I have to be like, I just want to buy you something nice. Like, he gets like so overkill on the, like, this is wasteful. And I'm like,
see, and my
stay
kids,
little.
My kids don't do that. But I think
he's definitely on, like, the extreme side. And then my son Noah, like, if he saw it, he wants it, whatever it is. So.
And my kids still want, like, still in the store at Walmart, they're like, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Nathan won't let me buy him things in the store because he doesn't need it.
Oh, no. Mine still want it.
It's like a unicorn. That's so rare.
It is rare. I mean, don't worry. Noah, like, balances it out because he's like, give me this and that. Like, wants everything.
And I think that including them and all, and we do everything as a team. Like, I had a conversation with Carter yesterday. He came home with homework. And he was, like, doing it on his own. And I'm like, can I help? Like, let me do it with you. And he was like, but Mom, I got it. But he didn't get it. Like, he wasn't doing it right. So then I said, hey, Carter, you went to school today and Mommy worked. Mommy will show you her work. But right now we're going to work on your work together. And so he had a hard time with that because I was like, no, we are going to go through this together. And I go to their level as well. Like, I want to see what their homework is. I want to see what their stuff is. I expect them to report to me as just as much as when Olivia walked in today and was like, what did we do today? Where are our goals and where are we at?
But it's also a great thing too to show them, like, sometimes being big and responsible also means asking for help when you need it. Like, even as an adult, you have to know when to ask for help. That's a good thing.
I've done that. Like, I struggle with anxiety, and my kids know that. And Nathan, my oldest, struggles with it too. You're welcome, Nathan.
The things we pass along.
But there's definitely times where I've said, Mom's having a really hard day. Like, could you please help me with this? And I, like, try to, like, communicate to them so that they're not taking it as, like, Mom's just exploding or blowing up. It's like, I try to say it in a positive light, like, will you be my helper? I think it's just, how do we bring them into it instead of.
So we kind of went off on, and I think that is really important. But so that's kind of our evening routine. So they come home, we go over what I did, what I accomplished, which also, and maybe it has become more important than the last year because I don't have a spouse to go, this is what I accomplished today, or how was your day, and all of those things. So not that my children should fill that role, but I think that all 3 of us are filling that role for each other. And it makes me engage with them in a different way. Like, I want them to know how hard I worked for them that day. Like, everything I do is for them, like our house and our lives and everything. And I want to be transparent in, these were Mommy's failures, this is what I did, but as well as theirs. And so, we had talked about dinner routines and stuff like that. What do you do when you can't sit down to have dinner, or there's the extracurricular activities, maybe youth groups, stuff like that. Like, what does that look like in your household on a typical evening? So I'm going to start with her because I love yours. She's going to blow us all away.
Well, mine is different this year. So I've been working for the entirety, or for at least 6 years, but I wasn't working for other people. So I'm an entrepreneur by nature, and so I was working maybe 60 hours a week, but I could do it whenever I wanted. It was more flexible. I could be home whenever, like, to get the kids on the bus, off the bus, doctor's appointments, all of that. I could, like, balance and juggle all of this. And now I'm 3 weeks into a job where I work for somebody else, and I go to an office, and I'm like, what is this? And actually, right now, in this moment, it's fantastic because, like, I have to be there at this time, and I have to come home at this time, and it's actually helped me draw really, like, more healthy lines. But either way, now I have someone else that's getting my kids after school, and that's just changing everything. Like, we don't end up all being home as a family unit until 6 o'clock, and then they're going to 8, so we only have about 2 hours. Now, usually in that time, they've already done their homework with whoever they were with, and we just have to eat dinner. But even now, we're trying to figure that out. Like, we're actually going to start trying out, like, HelloFresh and doing something like that where it's like, okay, it's already planned for us and sitting there
to make it.
And because we have some extra resources with us both having full-time jobs, we can kind of accommodate that into our budget, and we're going to see how that changes our evening routine. So I'm excited to try that out.
It's absolutely amazing, but I can't cook that. I can't stand there for 20 minutes and cook.
My husband likes to cook.
Our dinner's like totally different than that.
Like, if I bought all the groceries and set out a recipe, like, he would cook it. But it's just that planning time that neither of us are good at doing.
So our evenings, so I technically work from home. But I do several things. So I literally am running everywhere. And I have little people here during the day some days. And I'm on call. They have that 2.5-hour nap period where then I'm like, I got to do all my calls during that time. I have to do this. I have to transition and do the dogs. And so I am go, go, go. So something that really helps me give the best mommy, is how I always say it, is I get up an hour early in the morning to do the basics. So I sit on my phone for 45 minutes when I wake up in the morning. And basically what that is I need to respond quickly emails if there's any quick response. If there's a long response, it gets delayed. All of the Facebook and all of the text messages. Because waking up, I probably have 15 to 20 people that I have to respond to.
Wow.
That need some sort of response. Whether that is, I'm dropping off at this time, I need my dog picked up at this time, my order's not here, I have a large team under me, they all need stuff. So I give them that hour. So then I have that solid hour where Olivia wakes up at 6:30. During 6:30 to 7:30, I do let the dogs out, and I do a couple things, but I'm at her call. Like, if she needs me, I'm there. She walks out the door at 7:30 a.m. I literally kiss her goodbye, and I wake Carter. And that gives Carter his 45 minutes before he goes. I do the same. I try my hardest to be completely done with work when Olivia walks in the door, which is not, I'm never actually done, but I at least pause. I get more time with them because I get to be home. So my time frame starts about 3:30. So I have 3:30 to 9 to have that time. But I don't ever clock out. So dogs could be dropped off in the evening. Kids sometimes, their parents work late, so they're not picked up. My team doesn't stop selling right at 3 o'clock, nor do most of my customers get off in the evening. So anything can come up, but I actually did this today. Olivia's going to have volleyball on Wednesdays. Carter has soccer. So our household does a need and an extracurricular. So these are by my definition. So let the comments blow up. To me, it's character building things. There is one thing that they're required that's a character building. For Carter, Boy Scouts. That's his character building. I will invest a lot into Boy Scouts because that, I feel, makes him a better person in the world, as well as building skills that are needed. That is not an option. Like, you are doing Boy Scouts. And Olivia goes to youth group because that is something that at her age, this was a new thing. She did do theater projects. She had done certain things that kind of challenged her with creative arts more than just sports. Youth group in 6th grade, I need her to connect with like-minded people and build those bonds. So those are needs. And those take up a night of the week usually. Thank goodness Cub Scouts only takes up 2 nights in the entire month. But and then this year they get to do an extracurricular activity. Carter is doing soccer and Olivia's doing volleyball. Conveniently, those are both on Wednesday nights.
Nice.
So I don't know about that. So I have to be at several places at once and stuff. So those nights will be crazier. So those nights we'll grab dinner somewhere else. That is all I allow. I try not to plan. I have this on Thursday nights. That's mommy's thing. I don't plan to go out to dinner Sundays through Thursdays. I don't plan for people to come over. I try not to add any other extras in because we already have those. But it does feel like even when they get off, we're still in fast paced till that time. So,
All right.
what is it?
Well, as far as meals and everything go, we haven't really changed what we do. Being military, we get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So what I usually end up doing is sitting down and counting how many days do I need to make meals. And then I cook enough for an army so that every meal lasts 2 nights. And then we alternate cooking duty, assuming that he's home. We'll
And that's
alternate.
the thing. Like, I've never experienced military. Like, that's so unpredictable that I would not.
It's a whole other ballgame. I don't think that I would be as able to handle it if I didn't grow up that way already. My father was
Okay.
Air Force, so it was kind of like, this is the way life is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I fantasize about settling down permanently, but at this point, I don't know if I could commit to one location for the rest of my life. That kind of is also a little bit frightening. But anyway,
Makes sense.
we count how many days. I make each meal take 2 days, so also I don't have to come up with quite so many meals. And then we try to alternate where we can. I do the healthiest thing I can, but then I'll also throw in a couple meals that are like, okay, if we're in survival mode, somebody can just shove this in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're having a rough day. This
can be
is
quick and
something
easy.
quick and easy. Maybe not necessarily healthy, but we will all eat and we will all survive. And that also keeps me on task when I'm shopping. And you know what? Curbside helps a lot too, because if you're in the store, you're like, oh, that
I think
chocolate
I'm
looks
the
nice.
only one who
That
hasn't
looks
done
nice.
this.
I
Yes,
started using Instacart, and so that actually comes to my house. But I'm paying more per item, but I am paying less collectively.
Well, and the time, you know, when you have
Yeah.
2 really little ones going through a store, I mean, it will take you all day. But anyway, I stick to my list better doing
When you know what
the
you're getting,
delivery.
yeah.
I just focus on what I need for each of the meals that I've planned. And then it's just, you know, at the beginning of the month I do that, middle of the month I do that. And so there's only 2 grocery trips. Hopefully, if I've planned it right, we only go to the grocery store twice. It's also easier to budget. And we've done that. We've been doing that for the last couple years, and it's been working great. I will write it and put it on the cork board, but then I'll also email the list to my husband so that if I should not be around, I have like a book club meeting or whatever. He doesn't have to ask me what to do. He can look in his email. He sees the stuff. He can look on the cork board. He sees, you know. We actually end up having to coordinate a lot of things by email because it's very hard. Just with his work schedules, it's really hard to have conversations face to face. By the time he comes home, he's out for the night.
That's where Alexa is in my relationship with him too.
Yeah.
Alexa's my grocery list too.
And so that helps with the meals. And when I was working, last year I was a working mother, and we had a bunch of activities. And I've always been, when I was a kid growing up, I was always highly, highly scheduled. I mean, I started dance when I was 3 years old. And by the time I was in middle school, I was doing like 8 activities. It was a very rare thing for me to say, I want to go to this sleepover, or I want to go to this camp out, or I'm going to hang at the mall.
There was no flexibility.
There was no free time. It was exhausting, but it wasn't because I didn't know any other way. So going back, last year I was a working mother and my kids had activities too. And so we would use this menu, and it would just be like, sometimes I would have to cook dinner in the middle of the afternoon so that I could pick up my child and we could head off to dance. And then when their father brought them home, there would be food on the table. But this year is more of an experiment because I'm not working this year. And my kids, I've decided we are going to try no extracurriculars this year. And it was part choice, part necessity. My oldest child is 6, and she wanted to dance, so we put her in, but she also wanted to do competitive team. And I think I made a mommy goof when I said, "Are you sure you want to do this? Okay, let's do it." I mean, she's 6 years old. She doesn't, even though I explain it to her, she may not totally understand the commitment. So, I mean, the commitment wasn't huge, but for her age, someone who's used to having a nap in the middle of the day is now suddenly not getting that nap, going to school all day, rolling straight into dance all night. It's exhausting for her. So I would pick her up, and as much as she loved dance, I would say, "Okay, we have dance tonight. You know, we're gonna go home. We're gonna have a snack. We're gonna change, and then we're gonna go." And I would get, "Oh, I don't want to," or she would fall asleep in the car. Or she would fall asleep at home, and then when I had to wake her up, she would just bawl her eyes out. And it just felt like, you know what, this is too much. And for her sake and for mine, I thought, you know, it might be nice for a change just to see what it's like to focus on family rather than extra activities. This means now, like, every night we can have a dinner together, hopefully, barring any extreme situation with my husband, but we all get to eat together every night. And the money that we're saving on those activities, we can actually take like little mini vacations. Like we just went to Buffalo, New York, and it was like 2 days and we were back, you know, things like that, because dance is expensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just the quality, I think that you're providing. I mean, even when you're go, when you do have that family time together, if you do squeeze it in, how quality filled is it when everybody's exhausted, when everybody's like, what's the next thing, or I can finally breathe.
That's what it came down to. Our quality, our time together ended up being a movie, because that's all any of us could handle by that point.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the fact that we won't be as exhausted and we'll have more time together, hopefully we can build stronger character in our kids, because they will be with us more than anybody else. Whereas before they were with their teacher or at the studio more than they were with us.
Yeah. And I think that is huge. I think that is so purposeful. You know, sometimes we make decisions to make things easier on us, or we think they're going to be, but you are purposefully making this decision to build the bond with the family and get everybody home at the same time. And I think just showing them at that young age. I have taught my children craziness is the way to live. And that's not always the best thing. Both of my kids will have anxiety. I have horrible anxiety because we're go, go, go. Yes, we have a good life, but they don't know how to just sit. They have no idea how to just sit. And that is something that is a skill I don't know. So by implementing that, you're forcing it.
Well, we will see how it goes, because I am also used to go, go, go from like the day I could walk. You know, I wouldn't be home sitting at a table till 10:30 at night, you know. So that's part of the reason I think why I don't physically wake up until 8:30, but I could stay awake till 12:30 at night, because that's just how my life has always been up to this point. So we'll see how it goes, but I just got to a point where I was looking at her and I was like, you know, we're paying this money for dance class and she's sleepwalking through it.
Yeah,
you
know,
know,
not getting anything out of it.
And who better to influence my child than me day to day? So, I mean, you know, the more time we spend together at home, the more we can do that. And hopefully, like both of you, I deal with anxiety. I've dealt with depression. My child has anxiety on occasion. So I'm hoping that'll help us all cope with that too.
Perfect. Anything else? All right. Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up. We just kind of wanted to just touch base. Feel free to leave comments as you rewatch this. Next week is a little bit, it could be a touchy subject. I think that I, in general, might get a little offended or get opinions, but we have two
opinions.
Opinions. We have two guests next week. But our topic is social media. And yes, we did a little bit of social media dabbing a couple weeks ago, kind of on why you do it and what it is and who you follow. But this is more on a personal level. Your kids. How does it affect, what do you allow your children? Are your kids on social media? What are they allowed to do? but then also, what are they taking from social media and what are the risks of social media? So we are going to talk a little bit about the dangers of it and real life of what's happening to our children, what's happening in society, what's happening in our community here that could be generated from social media. And, even counselors and stuff like that, the negative effects that it's bringing. So I'm excited for that topic, and it's going to lead us into a range of shows that are all going to be linked together kind of on that base show. So, perfect. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Everyone, have a good night. We'll see you next week.